And I get the feeling you've been cheated.
The magic might have been inside of us all along.
Are you serious? Yeah. I told you, Michelle, I love you. I'll do anything for you.
Here we go.
Go.
All right, guys, I got Jason Baldinger with me tonight, and we're going to do some poetry stuff. And so we're going to do things a little different tonight. Jason's going to hit us right smack between the eyes with a poem, and then he and I'll get into the conversation. We thank you guys for being here. Jason, you there? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right, brother. Here we go, man. This is called We Own the Night. It's for my friend Renee Alberts. I was in a Walmart in Moundsville, West Virginia, because clean restrooms on the road are a must when you texted me that you went nuclear. And hell, I've known you 15 years. You've always been fierce, but I knew the life you chose didn't sit with you. You texted tonight. I'm leaving town. Sorry I missed you until now. Can we meet later? A question sits on the bar. How do you love people who don't love themselves? We shoot bullets, and you walk me through walking out of your life. That moment on a beach staring off into the Pacific, you realized you were living someone else's life. That moment, you didn't know why. And what was it what they told you you should want? Was it only for security? And I've had that moment many times, staring at the Pacific, at the Atlantic, on the Gulf of Mexico, at sunrise and sunset on Lake Champlain, almost 20 years apart. I've had that moment in many places. It's a hard moment. These are difficult questions, but questions to be proud of. Questions with no easy answers. We race time tonight and try and squeeze everything into a last physical conversation. We talk about freedom. We talk about letting go. We talk about isolating the noise that holds us in place and how in that isolation it might be possible to find what you actually need. And then we talk more about freedom. We own the night tonight with all its useless beauty as Sunday sleepers fog through dreams of their disaster lives. I drive you back to your folks and you're full of what it all means. And I've never seen you more confident, more beautiful than when you walked away.
Man, that's awesome. You know, it's funny that you picked that piece because, you know, I've been reading your stuff for a long time, and you and I haven't been that connected for that long, but, you know, we've known all the same people for years. And you know, I would see a Jason poem come floating by and I'd say, man, that was really good, you know, and I never really go out of the way to chase down your work. And what I noticed yesterday and today, while I'm kind of reading the book that I have and doing some research and whatnot, is like, man, when you start stacking those things back to back, it's like you're sitting in the back seat of a convertible taking a road trip, you know, and you're in the car with all your buds talking about how broken your fucking heart is, you know, and I mean, it's just, and it's not visual so much as it is, because there's visual elements. I notice a lot of nature and like references to individual beauty, you know, as you speak, but it's not that. It's just an ease with the whole environment and friendship and heartache and pain and life and travel. And you know what? If it ain't working, just hop in the fucking car, go, you know, and that's how it feels to me. And I hope that's on track, because it, just that one piece wrapped it all up, you know, in one big picture, you know.
It's all about accepting the futility, Jack. You know, there ain't nothing you can do about it. So when it all gets to be bullshit, just go somewhere else.
God, I know, dude. And it's like, I'm 58 years old now, and finally that makes sense. It's like, geez, that sucks. They encouraged me to change all that behavior. What the hell is wrong with them?
No. You should never change that behavior. It was the exact right thing that you had going on. The
decision to be a rebel at 8 years old was the right one. I just, you know, regretted it ever since. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they don't rebellion easy for a reason, I suppose, right?
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about how you developed that voice. I mean, obviously that's road tales. You're telling road tales that are based in truth, I can tell. Mm-hmm. How much of that's true though? I mean, how much of it is true road tales?
all of it.
Okay.
In that particular occasion, it is all true. I mean, I try very hard to get as close to the bone as possible. I think it's very important that we stay there. And yeah, we're writers. We're gonna exaggerate a little bit. We're gonna play a little bit. And it's poetry. You absolutely should be doing those things.
Absolutely.
You know, if you can get the language to move in a different way, and it adds a little extra detail or just a little stretch of the truth, then fine. But try and stay where, in that stream. Try and stay locked in and talk about this, what we're all dealing with. I mean, we're all just trying to get from point A to point B. We're all just trying to unlearn all the bullshit that we got loaded down with early in life.
Yeah, and I don't think that it's even so much that we have to change the level of adapting that we do, but it's the lens. You have to widen the lens and realize the toolkit that you've got with you. And maybe you need to look at it from a little bit wider perspective, or maybe it needs to be a little bit closer, or maybe you're stuck in tunnel vision like I get sometimes, and you just can't seem to get out of it. And that's when having people to go on a road trip is really valuable.
Yeah, I mean, we all get locked in if we don't stretch out and break some of the patterns that we get into regularly. And that's why, I mean, at least for me, it's really important to hit the road. To get out of town once a month if I can, for at least a long weekend. If I can go further, if I can use vacation days or whatever, then do it. I'm getting a little more comfortable money-wise that I can actually go and not have to worry quite so much and not be doing like 9 days on the road for $500.
Right. Yeah, and spend $1,000 in hotels.
Yeah, exactly. Or camping out like 3 nights just trying to get through. Yeah, I mean, at least I've never necessarily had to sleep in my car in a Walmart parking lot. But,
well, I mean,
I have had to sleep in my car.
Well, and there's look, I mean, if you're married to your craft in that way, there's not a damn thing in the world wrong with that. I see that as admirable. That is adding to that toolkit we just referenced. That's all. And my question is, if it's not so easy to hop in the car and actually make that physical road trip like we've had to deal with over the past year and a half now, how does that translate into, is there a difference in your written word that way because you can't go out there and actually experience it?
I think so. I mean, so much of what I write is sparked by things that I hear and see that I'm certainly missing out on that. I mean, I'm going to go see John and Victor this weekend. We're going to meet in Lexington, Kentucky. And it's one of those occasions just to get out and do something, just to see each other and to be able to bullshit. And I'm not good with social media and texting and all these things. I like to see people and talk to them. I'm bad at keeping up with you. So yeah, I don't know where I'm going. I'm starting to wander here.
Well, but
corral me back.
Very true. I mean, what you're saying to me is we adapt and we know what we long for, and we wait till the time we can go for that in the way that's not going to cause us pain and anybody else either. So, I mean, in a grand, more spiritual way of looking at it, that's all you're talking about. But,
that's it. And,
and that's kind of the heart of a poet anyway. If they're, well, I won't get into my politics about that, but you understand what I'm saying. I mean, there's a different power that's attached to the word than just, hey man, we're taking a road trip. We're going down Interstate 75 and look, my God, the trees are green, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, and over
there are lines, and this is where I was going. There are lines that you pick out of what you're saying. Like, I knew that the life you chose did not suit you well. Little things like that say, okay, now wait a minute. This isn't just a road trip where we're looking at trees on the side of the interstate. This is real life.
No, we're getting into it. Yeah. And I mean, over this period of the pandemic, I mean, certainly the writing has slowed down, but I've started to think a lot about things that I hadn't written about on other road trips. There's all these other moments. I mean, there's so many things that once you get your memory going and jogging, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I wasn't the right writer at that point in time to get that moment out. But now, 5 years later, 10 years later, oh shit, there it is. I got it. And that I think has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. That is I like, have not mastered, I've never mastered the art of being able to pick out that thing and bring it out and actually lay it out on the table. I tend to go internal and then vomit it out, and I really have to work hard to try to do it the other way. And, and the only thing that makes you do that, I believe, is what you're saying, is actually going out there and doing it. Because I've been to some degree landlocked, haven't traveled, don't have the experience of hopping in the car with Dorsey and going on a road trip. Didn't do a poetry bomb tour with S.A. Griffin, none of that stuff. As much as I admire and know about all of those things, I'm a hanger on, and where I particularly live, I don't see those opportunities, even though I do look for them. And all I can do is keep looking, and I have to take the tools that I have available to continue to hone that craft. And maybe one day I'll be able to pull it from the world and bring it in. But for now, this whole pandemic thing, I think what's happened is we've woken ourselves up to the idea that, there are bigger circles who are interested in what we have to say. And there are tools and technology that's available that will allow us to do that. And vicariously, I think things like book sales and interest in poetry and the way it's taught in schools and, things all the way down the line can be changed from the way they are now. And I talked to Dorsey and some of the other people about, I feel like as somebody who has that minimal amount of talent, but definitely the enthusiasm for it, I feel an obligation to that girl, in Birmingham, Alabama, who doesn't have exposure to that. And all she knows is she's got these feelings whirling around in her heart and her head that she can't get out. And she has no idea that there's, a word in a book or a phrase or a line, an empty line in a notebook that can fix that for her. And if I've got a book that you wrote and I can hand that to her, then I'm doing my job.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, you're looking for something that you're looking for yourself in the work in some regard.
I mean, you remember 5 years ago when the big argument was, oh, I'll never do anything digital. That's just not really a book. Okay, well, don't. There's 16,000 99-cent books you have inside you that you won't sell. Okay. And that many people who will be denied the opportunity to read your word. Okay, fine. That's okay. But I think that it's a mistake from all angles. I mean, if you want to be known, accepted, if you feel you have something to say, or if you want to freaking sell books, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it in your bedroom. Unless now I'm a special breed.
But hiding in your bedroom is all right. And with this, we've all been introduced to people's houses in different ways, and maybe it's let people know that they can get those experiences out. I mean, you don't have to go running around the country to go tell people your story. If your story wasn't running around the country, obviously, then you don't want to write that story. You're going to clunk around that story rather than, tell what's real and what's honest to you, what represents you, what voice you haven't heard.
Do you feel an obligation to almost avoid fiction in that you're rooted in your own personal stories?
Yeah, I've had a hard time with fiction. Again, I'll play with details and whatnot, but I've never, I've tried a couple times to turn this stuff into a road trip novel, but it's not what I can do at this moment, or I don't have the discipline to sit down with that. Right. It's an everyday commitment, and I am not an everyday writer. I mean, I'm a frequent writer, but I'm not necessarily an everyday writer.
Do you feel like you're writing and that whole process for you is a therapeutic process? And I mean, seriously therapeutic, like having mental health value.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you're getting things out of yourself. And sometimes you don't know that they're there. I mean, wasn't that the whole Studs Terkel thing as he was interviewing people?
Sure. Yeah.
They would say, I never knew I thought that. And sometimes you don't. You have to get deeper into yourself. And that sometimes gets weird. It sometimes gets ugly. Sometimes there's some things you don't want to say out loud, but it's important to say them, to get to know what that truth is, whether, you know, what your truth might be, who you are, who you're looking to be, or who you really are, I suppose I should say.
Yeah, that I mean, that's the thing, and obviously there's a reason why I'm asking these particular questions. I mean, I'm struggling with my own writing, and
Yeah.
I feel that I'm locked into a pretty tunnel vision view of things, and there's a tone that's developed that is in everything I write, and I don't. It's not that the story that's being written about isn't deserving, but the voice makes it monotonous, and it's not like you're going to know somebody's voice automatically just by reading it. You're going to know by the tone um and the topic who wrote it. You know, and it's like, do I really want to go through this again? And that's the way I feel about it, so I can only imagine how somebody else might feel if they were to actually see it.
Well, in those cases, you just got to blow up what you're doing. You know, I don't know what way you want to do that, but you know, that's seems to be
well,
what it
I
needs
guess,
to be.
you know, my question to somebody like you, I mean, the purpose for that is because, I mean, obviously you've written enough and long enough that you've had something similar and walked through that, and you're saying exactly what I need to know and what I already know. I got to blow the shit up and do it different.
Yeah, you got to blow it up.
That's all,
you know, and you know, I had a friend who said at one point in time that she was a terrible writer, but she was a fantastic editor. And sometimes that's really what's important. It's one of the reasons why I actually have a hard time writing fiction, because I'm editing as I'm going, and sometimes you can't do that. You got to vomit it and then take it all and shape it into something that makes sense. And that is the hardest thing to do, I think, as a writer. And at the same point in time, it's the most important thing. It's not just, you know, vomiting. It's making sure that vomit shapes, and, you know, you're finding the place where, you know, you're walking into the poem and cutting those lines out so you get dropped right into the action.
Right.
So it's not like it's like, no, boom, we're going, and this poem starts here and it ends just as crisply, and in between we're not putting a lot of extra words in there, a lot of extra thoughts. Just how do we get here, you know?
In all of that, how much value do you give the whatever the hell process means? I mean, is that an autopilot thing for you? Do you have to think about that? And does it come from an academic, like, learning background, or just reading and doing it for you?
It comes from reading and doing it. It comes from listening to other poets. I mean, pre-pandemic, I was doing, you know, I don't know, 50 plus shows a year in various places around the country, including here. So you're always being introduced to different people, different scenes. You're hearing different voices, and that is super important. You know, all those things, they go into your brain and they trigger other memories. You know, you hear somebody write something like, and you're like, oh, I actually have a story that's similar to that. Maybe not the same, but similar. You know, and you know, it's just catching all these things, and it helps give you experience and inform your voice so much more. So yeah, the more work you put in, the more listening you do to other writers, the more reading you do of other writers, you're going to be rewarded, and it's going to show in your work, I think.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt. I also do value a lot more than I thought I did originally, this whole idea of actually sitting in an English class and learning how to do it, because I blew off school starting at a very young age. I was bored. I hated it. I didn't want to do it. And I just didn't, I just didn't. I mean, my 8th grade year, I went to my homeroom class 5 days the entire year. Okay. And
I missed a lot of school too.
Yeah. And they came to me, my dad, and they said, we really don't want to have to deal with him next year. If you could just have him take the exams, if he can pass them, we'll just let him go along. We really don't want to have to deal with him again. And I knew that I would be murdered rapidly if I didn't pass the test. So, but that was the problem. Yeah. I knew all that shit. I was more interested in smoking weed at the park across the street and finding out about life.
That actually doesn't sound too bad. I mean, I am a self-taught poet, so I didn't have college. I didn't really go to college. I had like 2 semesters. So all this is immersing myself in this scene and just running with it.
So my 3/4 of college curriculum in the state of Georgia correctional facility didn't really count then. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you don't need it. I mean, you lived your life.
I learned how to live. I learned how to write a hell of a letter. I can promise you that.
I could understand that.
But I mean, it all gets back to that therapeutic question, because that was all really rooted in that. Because when I actually got serious about writing, other than writing appeals to the lawyers or my roommate's girlfriend at home who hadn't sent him money, when I actually got serious about writing, it ended up being very, very stream of consciousness, emotional stuff, that I've been carrying around for all those years. And it became really kind of a bloody mess. And everything that I've ever really written has kind of come from that big messed up jumble of words, and it all started with this long stream of consciousness where I went through it all and started chopping it up and shaping it up and moving it around and putting this over here in a different document and that over there. And so, I have a conglomeration of work that I've been doing for almost 20 years now. And none of it's really ever seen the light of day. And other than I get some feedback from a trusted editor and things like that. But, so that's my process. Is I take the vomit and I throw it out there, and then I pick out the chunks, because that's why I got a spoon, There's an old Mary Jane joke. Like there's an old Mary Jane joke about that. I don't know if you remember those, but anyway. So yeah, I mean, I like to pick out the good stuff and polish it and make it look better later on. And it's just been an ongoing process, and I'm not sure when to stop,
I don't think there's ever a stop though. I mean, I just, October through December of last year, I was working on a selected book, a selected from the last 10 years. And I sat down and I read through and I picked out the poems. And as I started to work on the book, I realized that these poems needed editing. I could not leave them the way they were 10 years ago. So I went through and the skeleton of the poem pretty much stayed the same, but the flesh of it became different, and a lot of earlier work. Not to say that the poems that I wrote 10 years ago were bad. They were great for what they were at that time for me, but I see them differently now, and I felt like I could say those things better. There weren't so much cringe moments as, that could be polished a little bit better. That could feel a little bit better. Right. So there's always room, and you'll always see things, hopefully, and keep editing as you go.
And that's why I draw the line between what's therapeutic and what's not, because what's actually, I believe, happening for me is a lot less of an editing process, as I've grown as a human, and the way that I look at those things and the emotions that cause them to be on the page to begin with are not the same as they were when I wrote them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so they become more of a tale of progression from this, whatever to whatever now. And so that's, that's what I need to be able to tap into. I think for me as a writer is, where is that growth and how do I identify it and how do I, reflect that? And again, it gets back to the same thing. I just got to blow it up, or I got to do what's been proven to work, like, getting out on the road and doing some tours, or maybe selling subscriptions of all this crap I got, or, there's all kind of ideas, that float through and
print it out and, do an edit, throw it in a drawer for 3 months, take it back out and look at it again and see what you think about it. I mean, I did that early on. That's what I had to do. I had to keep putting manuscripts away for a while so I could see them again.
Right.
For me, I've sort of built all those little edits in that I kind of do them while I'm working on the poem now, which isn't to say that a poem is done whenever I'm finished with it. It's just,
sure,
that's the best format that I have for it at this moment, and it will probably get edited again.
Well, I mean, my romantic view of that is that whoever ends up with that poem is the one that's going to finish it,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't belong to you once it leaves anyway, so let people do whatever they need to do with it. Let it fill up whatever space it needs to in their brain. So, and let it mean whatever it means to them.
Having traveled around a bit and performed, would you say that there's a difference in the audiences in different parts of the country? I mean, you guys all up there in the kind of Midwest region, you guys all have a similar vibe and voice. It's definitely not the same, but I think you understand what I mean. It's just like all us redneck poets down south have a similar voice.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's experience or whatnot, but I wonder how that feels to somebody who's traveling into one of those foreign areas.
I don't usually read with a group of people, to figure out that, like, oh, there's a specific voice to this area or not, unless I've been to a place a number of times, and then you get to know, that there's these people in Kansas City who do this, but I don't know that there's like a really like unified, like, oh, you can say, yeah, this school or that school or anything.
Yeah. I mean, unless they're Black Mountain or Naropa or something.
Yeah, exactly. We're all picking things up from each other. So certainly, if you read John Dorsey or myself or Victor Clevenger or myself, we're good friends, and our work feeds each other to some extent. Or James Benger and I, you're going to see connections and places, and that should be how it is. I mean, when you find a group of writers that you fit in with really well, then there's a moment where everybody challenges everybody, because you see, it's like, wow, dude, that dude wrote that poem, or she wrote that great killer poem, and you're proud of that person for that, but you want to make something, really good as well. So you keep, hopefully friendly competing with each other.
Sure.
And being stimulated by what someone's doing, and it therefore making you better at what you're doing. So
everybody uses John Dorsey's face so much, I don't even know who he really is.
He's a beautiful man.
He is a beautiful man indeed. That is gospel there, my friend. So would you say that living in that neighborhood has affected your feeling about poetry? Not necessarily the poetry itself, because I think those things are automatic, but as far as like in some of the schools I went to, it wouldn't be a really good idea to even like poetry unless maybe, these days you call it rap or something,
Yeah. I mean, I came to this, I started writing poetry when I was 15, but I didn't really start performing poetry out until I was well into my mid 30s. And at that point in time, I'd been fronting bands for a few years. So it really was, it was unnerving to be up there without instruments to cover you. But, there was never like an embarrassment about that. It was just like, oh, I was a songwriter and now I'm a poet. Those are natural,
When you were doing the
ways of
music, were
going.
you writing your own stuff?
Yeah. And I didn't really write first chorus verse very well.
Right.
So I was already sort of, I joke that the record that I put out in 2007 or 8 is sort of like my first chapbook in some respects. It's me learning a little bit more how to do this. So
right. Yeah. Take a trip down my Vimeo page. You'll
find some of the same.
I understand that very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to change the world with my video skills about 2010.
Well, we all thought we were going to change the world once, but here we are sitting.
I started a new media company in South Georgia, of all places, and it was funny because we were way ahead of our time. And the funny part was, I would go out and try to do sales, and I would get met with this blank stare, like, so let me get this right. It's like a moving business card, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say, yeah, kind of. It's kind of like TV too.
Well, Valdosta, Georgia is not the place for innovation.
I was in Albany, so I know.
Yeah, there you go.
I know Blackshear very well.
You know the Florida Georgia line.
Yes, I do. In fact, I am just across that line right at now as we speak in beautiful downtown Destin, Florida.
All right.
And it sucks. That's all I can tell you. So what's next? I mean, do you consider your writing as a career, and do you see graduating into that as a full-time thing, or will it always just be a passion and a love, and you'll go to your happy ending with tons of books?
I would hope that it's just a passion of love. I mean, I'm not here to get famous. I think 15 books in, the reality of the situation is you're doing this and you're happy people are reading it and people are finding it. There's so much noise in our world. There's so many things to distract your attention. Fame doesn't appeal in any way, shape, or form. I mean, having people read these books, that's always great. It's great to get a random message here or there, a little fan mail or whatnot. But I mean, I'm fine with how this is.
Podcast producer begging you to come on their show or something.
I mean, all of it. It becomes just important to make art in your life rather than identify yourself as I do this. I don't want to be that one-dimensional. Oh, I work in a book warehouse. I'm a writer who works to make enough money so that I can go do what I want.
Yeah, we were talking last week on the show about, there's this assumption that if you're going to be a working poet, that you're going to have to be an academic, and that you need to buy your, smoking jacket and get the appropriate pipe and just spend your time sitting in the armchair and reading the next thing or writing the next thing. And that's maybe if, the big book company was going to send you on the road and pay you millions of dollars like they used to, that would be the case. It ain't that way no more.
No, it ain't that way. I'm fine. I like it this way. I mean, it's fun being able, like the show. I think we've joked about this many times, John and Victor and a few other people. The show is just the means to get to the after, where we can all sit down and we can all have a conversation, we can all talk, and we can all tell these stories. And as we tell stories, more poems grow from them. And that to me is the invaluable part. It's the conversations, whether they be the random things you pick up when you're going from place to place, or when you finally get to the place that you are and you're with the people you want to be with.
Right.
And they're telling stories and you get to feed off the energy with each other of just trying to live your life, just trying to make it through whatever this fucked up experiment is.
I think it's just connection, man. It's like I've got something to say and I'm going to say it, and maybe for a half an hour you're going to be forced to listen to it. But what comes after is we get to talk about that. We get to debate it, and we get to hear your side and what you liked and didn't like, and and all that. And that's the real magic of it. It's not about oh, I had a great dream after I read that poem. I mean, all that stuff's important, but it's not, I just believe that it's really in everything I try to do. If I can take an approach of what can I put into it as opposed to what I can get out of it, I'm going to win a lot easier and a lot quicker, and in ways that I would never imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you need to not look at what you're going to get out of it. You just need to do it and enjoy doing it.
Exactly.
Live in that moment, enjoy it.
About a gift earlier, and one of the things I was taught a long time ago was that, if it's a gift, I give it away, and it's absolutely none of my business what you do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I learned that through recovery, and the logic is, oh, well, what if they go and buy drugs with it? Well, you know what? If they go and buy drugs with it, it might be the last drugs they ever buy, and it might save their life, and it might change their life forever, and their kids get to go to college and blah, blah, blah. It's not up to me what happens with that $2 you said you needed for, a bus to wherever,
It's hard enough to keep my own shit straight. I can't worry about anybody else.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm prompted to do something good, then do it. Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we're doing good here, man. How about let's have a poem about that, or about something the opposite, whatever you want.
All right. As we were talking earlier about poems that I've written recently that I couldn't write at the time they happened. Just couldn't figure out how to. This is a poem called Painkillers in Double Shift Towns. It's in the new issue of Rust Belt Review, which is out now. She works mornings at Kroger's, cashier ringing orders. Everyone she went to high school with, everyone else that got stuck. She leaves her daughters at daycare. Later, grandmother picks up granddaughter. Afternoons after her job takes her home, plants her in front of her TV. She leaves Kroger's for evening shifts, waiting at the barbecue pit downtown. Her grandmother falls asleep with granddaughter while granddaughter plays in front of the television. Morgan's raid, like the Civil War, came to nothing. The men in this town are trash. They stink of imposed failure. The only way you can, when under the thumbs, a dream that says all you gotta do is try to. We all know it's bullshit. But have you ever tried to convince yourself out of something drilled in, some kind of propaganda? She's flirting, all eyes. I finished my second beer. I've been sleeping on the ground all week. I like the attention. She rests her hip on my shoulder, pronounces my name off card, flirting. She has the giggles. I'll debate a minute, waking up in a room disheveled in that 2 jobs and single mom kind of way, in that she'll never catch up kind of way. Thinking about her pouring cereal and milk, trying to get her daughter to eat before rushes for drop off, and another day of a pair of shifts, another day too tired, work and TV and sleep automation. And I'll tuck my wallet back in and shuffle out the front door. She's crying on the steps next to the cook, overwhelmed. And I'll spend the night sleeping on the ground, counting spiders in O'Bannon's woods. In the morning, I'll lose my wallet only to find it in the beak of a mourning dove. And I'll follow the river west through painkillers and double shift towns. The Ohio River is only water. It can't save anyone.
I really like that piece. I mean, it's got all the same qualities we talked about before, but what I noticed when you're reading it is it sounds like the conversation that's going on in your head. It's like you're having this conversation to and about her, but you're noticing things over here in the periphery. You know, that's good shit, man.
Thanks, man. I mean, as we watch, television, as we're hearing stand-up comedians, more and more people, I think, are finding a way to voice what the dialogue is in their head. Mm-hmm. And it's a really hard thing to, I mean, writing dialogue is fucking hell in the first place, if you ever tried. But, how do you map the dialogue in your head and how your brain whirls? It's not an easy thing to do. It's a lot of fun to try, though.
It's more simple than that for me. I hate punctuation, period.
I gave up on it in poems a couple of years ago, and it made everything so much better. Why you have line breaks? Give up. There's no need for punctuation.
You don't
anymore.
need the rest. Just capitalize where you're supposed to at the first of the line. That's it.
I don't even do that anymore. I only capitalize I's, and
yeah,
I've debated giving that up.
Yeah, and I try to not do the I's. If I'm going to go all lowercase, it's going to be all lowercase.
Yeah. I think someone said something to me about not capitalizing things, and I was just like, I'm tired of all the things that they told me I should capitalize holding power. So
feel free to capitalize it in your head, buddy.
Yeah, you can capitalize it if you want, but I'm lowercasing. I'm lowercasing corporations. I'm lowercasing governments, political figures. I don't fucking care anymore. I'm tired of these people having power.
Dude, I've lived a lowercase life. You think I'm going to worry about your capitalization?
I haven't worn anything that isn't a pair of jeans in 15 years to go to work, for fuck's sake.
What? You got jeans?
I'm not dressing up for anybody. I'm lowercase.
Hey, man, I'm still on a high. I inherited a pair of Carhartt khakis last week. I'm fucking stoned on it.
Oh, you're in amazing shape then. That pair of pants will last you for years.
People gonna think I'm rich.
Well,
The Social Yet Distanced is sponsored by the Emotional Orphan in the form of production support. We hope that you'll continue to help us grow the show through the purchase of merchandise at Redbubble or some books or broadsides at Gumroad. You can find links on our Anchor page and on all our social media. Thanks.
Need a sugar mama bad. All right, brother, give me some poems before I get myself in trouble.
All right. How about I give you a brand new poem?
That's awesome. Let me ask you a question, though. I want to ask about the Dorsey book because I have and I apologize for kind of stopping your flow there, but
no, that's all right.
Ask, and I will forget. So, in a collab like with Benger or Dorsey or whoever, how does that come together? Because what I picture happening is you guys are coming home from an event somewhere and you say, you know what, let's write a freaking book.
Well, that's exactly how the collab book that I did with Dorsey came about. I was on my first day at the residency there at Osage Arts Community in Bell, where he's at, and he was actually in Pittsburgh, coming back to Bell as I was coming into Bell as well. So that first day when we met up, like we went and got fried chicken. And then we jumped in the car because I, being the first day in Central Missouri, needed to go see the surroundings. I needed to know where I was to start filling in the palette so I could start writing. So he and I drove around all afternoon, hit a couple of bars and a diner. And at the end of the day, or maybe it was the next day, I can't remember, he says, "Do you think you could write 6 poems about today?" I said, "I could give it a fucking shot." So that night I sat down and I wrote 6 poems, and the next morning when I picked him up, we were driving to Arkansas to do a reading with Diane Borsnick and John Burroughs, Night Ballet Press and Crisis Chronicle Press. And I said to John, I wrote the 6 poems. He's like, I did too. And I was like, let me edit them tonight and I'll send them to you. And both of us have done books for Diane through Night Ballet. So John said, as soon as we walked in, after we got settled and we're talking for a few minutes, Diane, Jason and I have a book for you. Do you want to print it? She was like, yep. So it was probably like the easiest book from conception to out. Like it was 3 or 4 weeks from the moment we said, okay, I have 6 poems. Okay, I have 6 poems. And to the point where it came out. James and I, we do it a little bit differently in that I've approached him or he's approached me with 20 poems. And then we answer either with what we have or we write new poems to fit what the other one gave. So a couple of different ways on how to do it. I mean,
so that's more of a collaboration back and forth then.
Yeah. I mean, like I send him 20 and, like if he wants to reject something, he can. If there's something he doesn't want in there, that's completely cool. And vice versa. So
Cuts out an editing step, doesn't it?
What's that?
It cuts out an editing step.
It really does, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been how we've done it. I mean, I've certainly done some other things
Sure.
that I don't think have been in print, where it's like you go line by line with someone. I mean, I did my first book was with a man named Jerome Crooks, who really helped me get started. I don't know where it is right now. It's called The Whiskey Rebellion.
Yeah.
I have it somewhere around here.
Yeah.
But we did that. That was we did 3 each individual poems, and then we did 3 collaboration poems, in which we really were going line by line. Right. And then we made sure not to put anyone's name on anything, so you couldn't tell who wrote what. Which I think is also a fun way to do things, because there's lines that you may go, oh, Baldinger would never write that. And it's like, well, but when you're sitting with a good friend and you guys are playing with words, sometimes you say someone else's line, that always happens. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I love doing different collaborations. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's so cool. All right, man. I'm sorry to interrupt. I knew I wanted to get that in before we closed up, and because that's always incredibly interesting to me in the way that process happens for everybody. And that's one of the things that you hit exactly what I was looking for, and that's that there's different ways of doing it along the way, and just kind of what the flow is.
Same approach. Yeah, the same approach is never a good idea. Just figure out what works, in between the couple of people. So
right.
And that's what makes it fun. See what comes back at you and how it gets responded to. So I'll read you a new poem, and then I'll try and do something from a collaboration here after that.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's up to you, man. I'm just asking what I want to ask. That's all.
Oh, no problem. All right. So this new poem is called Mr. Clarinet, and it's inspired by the Ben Shahn painting by the same name. Here's to anxiety, Mr. Clarinet. I never thought this would be the first day or the last day in the garden. Eden is Detroit in midwinter, and we are full of heavy Mexican food, dreams of tres leches to fill out these stone parameters. Here we are playing shuffleboard, cold pint glasses, grains of sand, and Adam and Eve are at it on the couch. Eve straddling Adam, locked in embrace. The dry hump Olympics lasts for more than one beer. Mr. Clarinet, you could draw your knotted hands down, bring up the horn with its reeds on fire, and blow something from your belly to make us think about how we'll feel when time dies. Remind us that with all the careful construction of mythology, that God has failed. Mr. Clarinet, bring up the horn with the scary clowns. Play us an elegy that sounds like Jimmy Giuffre chasing Raymond Scott while Adam and Eve stay at it. Surely they've swallowed each other's tongues as penance for being evicted. They are static electricity, sparks oblivious to selfies. Mr. Clarinet, the anxiety is real every day, in or out of the garden. Eve has dismounted. She is smoothing fabric. Adam is bow-legged. You're right to keep your hands covering up the horror. The patrons are holding the scores on tablets as they walk into exile. When we finish, our beers will follow into the night without a snake in sight.
Fantastic. Beautiful.
Since John was just posting about being at the glory hole, I'm going to read you both John and my take on the glory hole. So this is from The Ugly Side of the Lake, which is on Night Ballet Press. This is my take on the glory hole, and then I'll read you John's take right after. At the intersection of a road that leads to Climax Springs and a road that leads to Hurricane Deck, we spy the glory hole next to Tres Hombres near the pontoon graveyard. Like, where's Waldo in here? Can you recognize every mention of the word glory hole as ceiling fans swirl smoke around? 2 1/4 gets you a Bud Light draft, frosted mug, and 20 an hour will get your boat a designated driver. Watch the cigarette burn in an ashtray on the sink for the better part of a millennium, as one man, overjoyed at being drunk, plays a Dropkick Murphy song. Insists we all play along. He pumps his fist as prompt as the bar as the chorus comes in. Kiss me, I'm shit-faced. And this is John's take. They burn prospects for warmth. The only woman here could be your grandmother if she sold her teeth to pay the rent. The beer tastes like a watery grave. The only sexual position is room temperature or none at all. The fist pumps always come shit-faced. The bathroom strangely clean, no holes to speak of, and all the glory washed away years ago.
Man, you combine the Dropkick Murphys with anything related to those poems, we're in good shape.
Well, I mean, the what you're hearing, what you're seeing, everything, it all comes into the poem.
Absolutely.
You just let your senses, take care of it. Let them enjoy every moment.
That's grabbing that thing from over here while you're still over here. That's
exactly, yeah. How many ways can you follow this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful stuff, man. I really like that. I was disappointed to find out. I probably had told you at some point, I thought that John had sent me a book and that one of them was that book. And I was kind of bummed. And then I thought that the one I had gotten was you and Benger. And so for like 2 weeks, I've been looking for the wrong books because I've got this useless beauty right here.
Okay.
And I looked right over it for 2 weeks because I was looking for something else.
Oh, we all get lost. I always lose books under things. I mean, it's just something that I can't help but doing. So,
well, tell us more about that.
What, losing shit?
No, poetry.
Poetry.
All about losing shit. That's fine. That's all.
I mean, that's what poetry is too, right?
All of mine are about losing my shit.
Here's another road poem. This is from Everyone's Alone Tonight, which I wrote with James Benger. This is called A Palomino and a Bull Snake.
Same artist for both books.
Yeah. Most of my cover art is done by my former housemate and friend John Dowling. He actually is my downstairs neighbor now. Gotcha. So he hasn't done all of them, but I think he's done like more than 70%. So I think there's like a Matt Borzon cover on Ugly Side of the Lake, and Matt's a great eerie poet. I just did a collaboration book with a friend of mine's daughter in tribute to him. He passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. So she did both the cover art and then she did a bunch of drawings for the book. So another different type of collaboration actually too.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, but yeah, John has done most of the covers. At some point in time, I need to lay them all out on a table and take a picture and give him another shout out. It's appreciated that 15 books and he's done 10 or 11 of them.
The thing that I was trying to figure out was I knew I had this visual in my head and they were similar and I couldn't figure out why that was, and that's why.
I like my books to have a uniformness.
Right.
No.
There's a voice that comes with the cover too.
Exactly. You know what you're getting into. This is a Jason Baldinger production, and certainly when I started this years ago, it was trying to keep things in-house among my friends locally. But as things have grown and as, I've had the ability to meet more people, that family and the people that are doing things has also grown. Sure. So it's always good to know that there's those people. And in the last couple of years, I've finally been start paying John for cover art, which is awesome. Anyway, so back to A Palomino and a Bull Snake here. There were 4 water towers on the Salina skyline, more than 10 rooms with private bath in the place where I stayed. I've lived the last couple of days on gin and tequila. There's been no need to hit the brakes over the last 80 miles. It feels like I'm barnstorming a prairie fire. The longest train I ever saw was in Amarillo, and that was before today, although it may have been Sheridan. Amarillo is 400 miles south. Sheridan is a palomino and a bull snake away. In the distance, there's a storm stuck over Topeka. I've seen so much big sky and empty plains, it makes me want to swing north to the Badlands. I could make Rapid City by morning. Yesterday, I learned that Mexican buffet are the two most perfect words in the English language. And as I left, I noticed the only graffiti on the men's room wall. My asshole is burning. Except both of the S's were faint. They'd been corralled to some Baptist ranch in the sky where profanity is still the devil's tongue. Yesterday, I found that I could turn breadcrumbs into bluebirds. If I head north and gun it for Nebraska, I'm going to try my luck turning motels into buffalo.
Nice. Yeah, man, I like that.
Thanks, man. We were talking about the afterlife as a hangover. Is a book about the death of my friend Carl Hendricks, with art by his youngest daughter Nell. Let me see if I can figure out where this poem is.
All poems have a story, don't they?
They surely do. So none of the poems are titled in this. It's just 50 poems. So this is number, I have no idea, 39, I think. I'm really not good at Roman numerals. Like you, I think I missed that day in class. I probably skipped
me
it.
too. I don't even care. I'm not Roman.
Me neither. All right. So Michelle texts that her mother died. Would I have a drink with her and Kate at the tiki bar? I text back and Kate is late. I head to Michelle's and her, Richard and I talk about her mother's death. Her last words, don't be afraid, Michelle. And I can't fathom how you talk to your spouse about your mother's death when your husband has been reduced to apology. Sorry for cancer. Sorry for dying. And I talk about my grandmother's death, a month in and out of consciousness after a stroke took most of her spark. My brother and I spent August nights on hospital picnic benches, smoking cigarettes, talking our goodbyes for her to each other. She died mid-afternoon. I was late, caught in a storm, believe it or not, timed to the moment she passed. They waited till I was there, and then they pulled the sheet. Sometimes you have plenty of time to say goodbye. Sometimes you have none. In this far, time fades, and we get to stories. Kate is ribald and Michelle is dry, and I try and keep it silly, but I can't stop staring at Michelle's finger and her dead mother's ring. The third zombie unties her tongue and leaves a wide-eyed bartender, but nets us a discount on drinks. These nights, adrift on time expired, I think in terms of prayers. Bless the women who smoke. Bless the women who say fuck, graceful, gossamer. Bless the way we break to pieces. Bless us when we pretend to keep it together. And bless the bartenders who deliver the drinks and for a moment keep the pain away.
Fantastic, man. That's beautiful. Yeah, I might have to have you.
Thanks, Jack.
I might have to have you send me that one, brother. I like that a lot.
Well, I will be happy to send you one. I think I still have your address. I sent you a package a couple months ago, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
All right, cool. Then I will.
I'm always eternally grateful for that kind of stuff too, brother. I appreciate it because I know how expensive all that stuff can be at times. So thank you for that. Do you want to do one more and just kind of knock us out? I'm getting some vibe from the internet that we're having some difficulty. So I'd like to go ahead and make sure we get one more in. And then if we make it through, we'll say goodbye, and then and you and I could say goodbye in private. All right.
All right, sounds great. I'll read you one more. This is another newer poem that's taken me a bunch of years to figure out how to write. called Hang On Skyline. These mountains, these clear daughters of stars, reach to the sky to catch a falling supermoon. And here I am, stoned witness, mugging with Yogi Bear. Ranger Smith can keep his picnic basket. We're rolling like Mesereau. Yeah, babe, these really are the blues. Half-baked eyes, sincerely heavy, drop off consciousness. In a sleeping bag, my heart beats into the earth. Wake to cold morning, bones, bitter shouts, shattered glass. I drag myself to showers only to find hope lukewarm. There are no smooth edges here without hot water. As I suffer, I see a yellow jacket, shattered glass exoskeleton dragging across tile floor towards my truck stop foot. For this bee, there is no future. For this bee, the struggle has begun. I stand in cold running water as this bee keels over. It shudders in that familiar way we all do when the secrets that are consciousness leave us. And suddenly, this yellow jacket is only an empty exoskeleton, and I am running water alone. I blast heat to reknit bones as I chase mist up this river of spruce, this hang-on skyline. And with a waterfall, I stop and undress an orange and let myself feel like a truck stop in the first light of the morning. Someday, someone may find my body at the bottom of White Oak Canyon, an empty exoskeleton with crows for eyes, and all the secrets that make consciousness rise with the mist of the morning dissipate into a forever blue sky.
Sweet, man. I understand that poem. I understand that one, brother.
That's what we want, right? We want them to register, hopefully. We want it to feel like we've been there in some way.
Well, listen, my brother, I appreciate you spending the time with me. I'm going to close it out and you and I can say goodbye in private, but I'd like to thank you for coming by. Before we close, where should we go to get your stuff?
I'm starting to build a store on my Bandcamp page. You can listen to audiobooks there, and there's a few books currently available. So if you don't want to use the Evil Empire, there's a few books up and more coming. Otherwise, you got to go to Evil Empire, unfortunately.
Well, that's the way it goes. And we, we're victims of the life we choose sometimes. I will include some links to some of the books as well out there so people can get to them directly. And to the Bandcamp as well. I had a pretty good time there this afternoon, actually.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much for being here, man. And we will talk soon. You sit tight. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming and spending time with us. We do appreciate you being here and hope you had a good time. We would appreciate if you visit us at socialyetdistance.com. You'll find links to all our social and different ways that you can support us in our endeavor here in carrying the gospel of poetry and making sure that America learns manners. So there you go. We appreciate you being here and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you. And we are done recording.
Here at the Social Yet Distanced, we sincerely hope that you enjoyed the art that we share tonight. It's kind of what we do. And we'd also like to help share your words and arts as well, so please, let's talk. Follow us on all our socials, and if you're inclined and able, consider supporting our production costs via the support section on the main Anchor page. And of course, like, subscribe, share, and smash, whatever the hell that means. And if you want to ask a question on a future episode, or if you want to leave a 60-second poem, just click on the message link on the main podcast page at anchor.fm/emotional orphan and record your question or your poem in a voicemail. You can also find links to our socials, merchandise, and broadsides there as well, and all of the episodes of this wonderful podcast. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you next week.